when something happens to you that really your body, your system believes is a fight or flight, like a life or death situation. It gets stuck in your body. If we don't do what needs to be done to flush it out, to return to this equilibrium of the green, your body believes that that situation is still happening. So there's no calendar, there's no ability to tell time in your body and in your nervous system. And so these different experiences of being in the red, being in the blue, build and get stuck in our body. Hi friends, welcome back to part 3 of our 6-part masterclass on how to feel better by reducing anxiety and improving our mental health. My name is Keuilian. I'm an AMFT trained in somatic experiencing and EMDR therapy. I'm so glad that you're back joining me for another part as we move towards having this better life, having this connection built with our brain and our body so that we can be in the present moment. We can uncover our radiance that we all have at our core. It's there. There's nothing broken about you. There's nothing wrong with you. Let's uncover another layer today together. So in part 1, we talked about why do I feel anxiety? We're learning that our body feels unsafe. There's this big disconnection between our brain and our body, and we're working its way back together. Part 2, we talked about finding the pause button, and hopefully you have been practicing your 5 minutes of meditation every single day and maybe setting little alarms throughout the day to just pause and notice, where am I? What am I doing? What am I feeling? Creating this ability to pause and to really notice. And again, on the meditation, it's not about, going to some deep, crazy place or having some awakening. It's really about building the muscle of concentration and creating that possibility to pause. So every time when you're meditating and your mind wanders and you pull it back, it's that rep, right? Keep getting those reps so we can build this capacity and uncover a few more layers. So today in part 3, we're talking about noticing our body sensations. And again, our big picture goal to get our nervous system into the green, where we know we're safe. We know we're safe up here. Our body knows we're safe. Getting on that same page so that then we can feel good and connect with the people around us and open ourselves to enjoyment and to the passions and the talents that we all have. They're all unique, but we all have them, right? So let's access those. So noticing our body sensations is where it starts. Now, I do want to say, as someone who has had anxiety for a lot of my life, thankfully, I have worked through that to where now, if I feel an anxiety symptom in my body, I really quickly notice it and I attend to it. And so but coming from the place where I didn't feel that I had any power or control over these anxiety symptoms, which, can start in our stomach. It can feel like nauseated, can go up to our chest and feel like constriction. I can't breathe right. Heart is racing, right? Throat is closing. Jaw is clenching. Hands are sweating. There's so many ways that our body can feel this anxiety. And when you're in the midst of it, when someone tells you, pay attention to how your body feels, I want to acknowledge that that can sound scary. And so maybe you're sitting there and you're listening and you're like, my body's the problem. My body's where I feel all the anxiety. And now she's asking me to pay attention to my body, right? And this can feel scary. And so I want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that up until this point, your body likely hasn't felt safe. But I also want to encourage you to really have the faith to try this and to really start to build that connection between your brain and your body. And before we go into a little bit more of the exercise, let's really talk about why your body feels unsafe, because it can be a little puzzling. Why do I have this buildup of, getting in the red and then going down into the blue? Why am I stuck here? And part of it is that our body and our nervous system doesn't know how to tell time. And so what I mean by that is that when something happens to you that really your body, your system believes is a fight or flight, like a life or death situation, and we've all experienced life or death situations throughout the span of our time here, where it gets stuck in your body if we don't do what needs to be done to flush it out, to return to this equilibrium of the green, which most of us don't because we're not taught. Your body believes that that situation is still happening. So there's no calendar, there's no ability to tell time in your body and in your nervous system. And so these different experiences of being in the red, being in the blue, build and get stuck in our body. And then the body becomes unsafe and we want to disconnect more, and we get this disconnection, right? But then our body is still giving us all these symptoms of like all the anxiety. It's there, right? And so when we first put our attention back on our body, it's probably going to feel a little uncomfortable, but we're going to move through it. We're going to move through it together, and there is safety on the other side. And so I want to show you this. This is a Huberman sphere. And anyone who has experience with Dr. Peter Levine, who is the creator of somatic experiencing, which is a technique for really helping people get in touch with their nervous system, find regulation, which what does that mean? Find our way back to the green and release a lot of these pent up survival energies. So we have these different experiences. So this is us just going along. This is your nervous system. And when we're out here, we feel expansion, and expansion is the green, right? If you just think and kind of invite this feeling of expansion into your body, where we feel light. These are words we use that we instinctively know is what we want, right? Feeling light. When something bad is over, we say, oh, I feel like a weight is lifted, right? We have full breath. There's nothing keeping you from just getting in the air you need. You feel light, right? There's possibility. This is the feeling of being in the green. Now, when you experience something that threatens you, now this could be when we're young, oftentimes this has to do with our caregivers and with the feeling, we need to be connected. So this can be relational. If there's, if you hear your parents fighting, or if there's like disruption in the home, it doesn't even need to mean that you're physically in danger of your life. This can be about relationship and connection. It also can have to do with being in danger for your life, being in a car accident or an assault or anything like that. So we're going along and we have this experience of trauma, right? And this is what happens to our system. Boom. And everything gets contracted. And this is that experience of that red, right? Where there's all this energy in the system and there's this contraction. And that's why a lot of the times, these anxiety symptoms, it feels like contraction. It feels like pressure. It feels like twisting and churning, right? It's this, and it's this covering here. And so when we first start to pay attention to our body, we typically are noticing what this feels like. And it doesn't feel good, which is why a lot of the time we try to keep our attention off of our body and off of these, uncomfortable sensations that we have. But what's really great about this work is that once we can get back in touch with it, we can start to invite in some expansion. And this is the work we're doing in this course, is learning how to get in touch with it, get in touch with your body, with your system. And then we're going to start doing things to invite a little expansion. Dip our toe in the green. Dip our toe in the green. Oh, feeling how that feels like. Knowing, and this is something that, Dr. Peter Levine is always teaching us, that contraction will always come. And that's because we need a resilient nervous system where if you are walking down the street and there's a car that swerves and it's about to hit you, you need your body to react and to get all of that survival energy so you can move, you can respond, you can be safe. And then once it's done, to naturally go back to here. Go back to that expansion. Go back to the green, to feeling good and being in the present moment. So our first step is to start to notice this. And so what does this mean? This really means that we start to get curious about what we feel in our body. And so right now, let's take a little pause. We'll practice one of our pauses. And I want you to imagine that you're dropping into your body. So you're taking your awareness, and this is your very smart part of your thinking brain, your thoughts, your where your focus is, and you're just dropping it in to the felt sense of your physical body. And so I almost picture like doing a scan, like this internal scan, and just starting at the top of my head, and I'm just scanning and I'm just noticing. Is there any sensations? Is there any part of my body that feels a little contracted, that feels a little tight? And I'm just kind of allowing my awareness to hang out there. And as you do this, one of the first things you'll notice is that when we put our awareness onto our physical sensations, things will always shift and change. And it's one of the coolest things about this system, this body system that we live in, is how flexible and resilient it is. And so sometimes just by starting to notice, ooh, my stomach feels a little tight, right? We practice the pause, and maybe you're in class and you're about to have a presentation, and you take a moment to really drop into your body and to notice, like, okay, yes, I'm feeling some churning in my stomach. I'm feeling my heart's going a little bit faster. I've got this energy because I know I'm going to have to get up and speak, and you're just with it. And as you're with it, you might notice, just by the power of your awareness, you start to feel just a little bit more expansion. You ever notice when your body just naturally takes a breath and lets it out? That's a sign that your body is doing a little bit of settling. Your system is like, maybe I'm okay. Maybe I can come out of this contraction just a little bit. And so this week, I want you to really focus on dropping into your body, noticing what the sensations are, and doing this with the knowledge that at first it's probably going to feel kind of like this. It's probably not going to feel great, right? Because if everything in your body was feeling great, then you wouldn't have anxiety, right? And you wouldn't be concerned about your mental health. And so just knowing that as you put the power of your awareness onto your body, first thing we're going to feel is those uncomfortable symptoms. And then we're going to let ourselves kind of relax into it. And next week, we are going to take this even further as we deepen the practice and as we really continue to connect our brain with our body so that we can feel better by reducing our anxiety and really improving our mental health. So thank you so much for joining me again for this part 3. I hope that you will join me for part 4, which is coming up. And in part 4, we are going to talk about how to be here and be now. So take care. If you like this content, please share it, like it, subscribe, and I'll be back next time with part 4. Take care.